All right, so we are live again. Let me just see that I'm recording this audio separately. Just a sec, just shifting things around a little bit. Okay, cool. So I'm seeing women dropping in already. That's really great. So can you just let me know in the chat that you can hear me and that you can see me? Just get some yeses so that we are ready to roll for this live training that we have together. Hey, sexy ladies, it's Leonie. Perfect. Perfectly loud and clear. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, awesome. That's good. Good. I'm so glad. You know, in the beginning when I started doing this, I always had some like technical mishaps because I would miss like one thing or whatever, but I'm glad that it's all flowing smoothly now. So secondly, let me know where in the world you are tuning in from, and also let me know in the chat, what are you the most grateful for in your life right now? So let me know in the chat where you're tuning in from and what you are the most grateful for in your life. Nice, cool. So it's so fun to see like the numbers go up, more and more women dropping in. So exciting. So we have, I'm not sure if I'm saying your name right, but well, if you're in Norway, I would guess that it's Birgitte or something like that. From Apeldoorn, Netherlands, Wendy, Barbara in Amsterdam, the Netherlands, Leona in Zeist, the Netherlands. So mostly Dutchies, one from Norway, Alicia from Norway, grateful for the connection and time now. Yes, so what are you the most grateful for? Where are you tuning in from? And what are you the most grateful for in your life right now? Kara says, I'm from Germany, and today I'm super grateful for the sunlight and the beautiful lighting. Yes. Ariella from Amsterdam, so what are you the most grateful for? Esther tuning in from The Hague, grateful for my awakening sensual power. Joanna, Misty Island, feeling incredibly grateful that my awareness is increasing, my sensuality is increasing, life is sweet. Oh, it's so funny, like Joanna, so in my kitchen I have this blackboard that me and other people who come usually write little messages on, and right now it just says, oh, life is sweet. That's all it says. So I'm definitely echoing what you just said about that. Life is sweet. So all of us, we can take a moment and just tune into the sweetness of life. Leonis is grateful for yoga, sunshine coming in, and warm chai. Yeah, I know. Isn't that the best feeling, like coming back from yoga class and having gone through a little bit of cold weather and then coming in for a cup of chai? So it's funny that you say that, because I'm gonna go in a bit over 2 hours. So that means that we have to keep this under 2 hours. I'm going to yoga class, and I have already planned to have chai afterwards, and I'm gonna have a massage this evening also after yoga. Wendy says, most grateful for the sun today, that I can feel that life is awesome. Awesome. Great, Wendy. Thank you. Barbara says, today I'm grateful for I trained amazingly in the sunny, cold weather in my life, that my clarity and ability to express myself is expanding more and more. Girls, it sounds like you already have this stuff down. So I'm so happy that we're tuning into this in the beginning of this webinar, because this is very close to the essence of what this is all about manifestation magic. So anyone who just dropped in the last couple of minutes, write where you are tuning in from, where in the world you are, and what are you the most grateful for in your life right now. Brigitte says, I'm grateful for my new Shakti mat. It is amazing. Yeah, if you haven't tried the Shakti mat yet, then definitely do. Pretty much everyone in Sweden has one, because it's a Swedish invention. It's actually a friend of mine who invented it. The Shakti mat is this acupressure mat with thousands of points. I lay on it quite frequently, so that's great. Barbara is also grateful for her coffee. If I drink coffee, I get super, super shaky because I have it like a few times per year. So I'm glad I haven't had any coffee. I feel super excited and really bubbly inside anyway. Almost like I had a triple espresso, but in a good way. Joanna says we're all on the same wavelength. Exactly. That's what I feel too. Isn't that the beauty of coming together though? It's like it all amplifies. So I can feel you all. So with this, let's take a moment, and whatever you want to do, if you want to do a spiritual namaste or hands on your heart, or put your arms out horizontally towards the connection with all of us, whatever floats your boat is fine. Just anything, any gesture that anchors this. Take a moment and tune into the connection with the other women who are tuning in right now from different countries. Again, I love to see that these little points of light around the globe. We usually have some tuning in from America or Thailand, different places. Right now, I cannot see anyone from the States. Although, let's see. Yeah, I can see here. It's right now. Yeah. So Tamara and Fanny and Christina and other people who have not written in the chat yet. There are some more here tuning in. I can also see Simone, Marushka, Sofia, some other people. So yeah, if you haven't written in the chat yet, then let us know where you're tuning in from and what you are the most grateful for in your life right now. So Sophia says, I'm grateful for warm showers, heated radiators, and an offer to work in a warm country for 3 weeks. It sounds like you like warmth. I also like warmth. Right now I'm drying laundry, so my apartment is quite warm, so that's why I'm kind of sitting in this not super warm dress. Yeah, I definitely love the warm countries as well. All right, so we're connected and we are ready to go. So today's topic is manifestation magic. Effortlessly create the life of your dreams by following your joy. So that pretty much says it all. Just go on and effortlessly create the life of your dreams by following your joy. That was all for today. Thank you and goodbye. No, just kidding, but that could pretty much be it. We are going to go deeper than that though. We are going to go quite deep into the art of manifestation. And I'm so happy for the questions that have come in already in the pre-webinar survey. I checked it like half an hour ago, so there might have been some more questions coming in just in the last half hour before we started, because I saw a few more women, like another 10 women or so, just registering in the last half hour. So I'm going to go back and refresh that when we come to question and answer time a bit later. But we are going to have Q&A at the end, because my sense is that a lot of the questions that have come in will be answered already just through the things that I'm about to share. So there was one question coming in yesterday via email also from Margriet, who probably can't join us live, but she wanted to have the question answered anyway. And what she asked about was something that I was already planning on covering. So we'll just see what remains unanswered at the end, and I'll go through some of the pre-submitted questions, as well as whatever you want to ask live. So if you have any questions coming up, I'm not going to be looking at the chat all the time because I'll just be super distracted. I'll be looking sometimes, but if you have specifically a question that you want me to go through at the end, in order for me to be able to see it very clearly, then mark it as a question. So next to the chat box, there's a tiny little arrow where you can kind of like see from a drop-down menu, where you can mark it, where you can just send it as a message or mark it red as a question. And when you mark it as a red question, then I'll be able to see all of those questions just in one place in my admin panel, which makes things a lot easier. So if you have something that comes up at any point that you want me to answer, then mark it as a question. And if you want to come on live, then I'll just tell you about how to do that a little bit later, or when we come to the Q&A part. So Christina says, from the coast of Norway, and today I've felt so grateful for the beautiful shifting winter light and views of snowy mountains outside my window. Oh, and also for all the abundance of wisdom that effortlessly is coming into my attention through you, Bentinho Tiger Singleton. Love the flavor that you bring, Monia. Thank you, Christina. Yeah, so this is the beauty though, right? Because I feel like, you know, if this was a webinar that we had, I was going to say, if this was a webinar that we had 20 years ago, first of all, we'd be way ahead of our time because webinars did not exist 20 years ago. But imagine, say, that the facilities were here and we had this training, say live, 20 years ago. We'd have to go like really deep into just introducing the idea of the law of attraction and manifestation as even viable things to explore and realities. And now it's like you're also in tune with this already. And so my assumption would be that you're already familiar with these kind of things, that you've already been following maybe Abraham Hicks or Bentinho or anyone else. You know, people are into Bashar these days, or any kind of law of attraction teachers. And the beauty though is that it's not so much that I'm going to present something to you that you've maybe never heard before, but maybe you've never heard it before in this way. And so there are some things, because of course I've been studying and learning about this for quite some years already, and it took me a while to move from learning about this and kind of hearing these things. It's like, oh yeah, that kind of makes sense, and that sounds true, or it resonates on a certain level, from that like theoretical kind of understanding to actually like in the bones fucking lived reality with no doubt. And it's really when it sinks into your being in a way that it's beyond any doubt, that's when the magic really starts to take off, because that's you taking the foot off the brake and just cruising. Because most of us, we have one foot on the gas, because we, metaphorically speaking, meaning that there is the excitement and the belief and the enthusiasm and the passion and the hope and all of that. Although hope is actually mostly just doubt with a slightly more positive twist, but we have the enthusiasm and all of that, and we simultaneously have the but the what ifs or the fears or the lack beliefs and stuff, and that's like simultaneously having one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake, which makes for kind of a bit of a jerky ride and a frictiony experience. So when we lift the foot off the lift the foot off the brake, that's when cruising into effortless manifestation can happen just really, really, really easily. So I'm going to tell you about what those shifts have been for me and share with you some of the keys for that. And I also want to say, because this is quite a big topic, I do have a list of things that I want to cover today. And normally when I have a live training, I don't really have any notes. I just know the general topic and we kind of free flow from there. Today I have a list of different points, different key points, because I really want to make sure that we cover the really important things in this. We may or may not get to everything. So first of all, I just want to say, like, if I look over to the side to look at my notes or the chat sometimes, then just bear with me. It's just to make sure that I deliver everything that I have promised to you. And also, if we don't cover everything today, because it is quite a big topic, then we shall just continue in the next live training in a few days or next week. We'll just see how that flows. So I'm just leaving that open. So just a disclaimer that we'll get to everything and everyone. Cool. So starting from some fundamental understandings. So before we go into anything that has anything to do with techniques or keys or principles when it comes to manifesting the life of your dreams, it's super important to have some fundamental understandings of the nature of reality and the nature of your true being and the nature of who you truly are. Because if we don't have that down first, then whatever we try to manifest, whatever we want to create in life will come from a fundamental state of trying to compensate for an illusion that is actually not real, which is kind of inherent within the word illusion, that it's actually not real. And so the illusion being us being a separate individual or a separate entity or separate being moving into the world and trying to pull things in or manifest stuff. And when we see ourselves as separate, if you've listened to me for a while, you probably heard me say this in some form or another already, but when we perceive ourselves as being cut off from existence, then fundamentally we will always be coming from a feeling of compensation, a feeling of fundamental fear or lack or loneliness, and then trying to create a happy life, or trying to, for example, very simple example, trying to attract a partner so that we don't have to feel the loneliness that is underneath, or trying to attract money so that we don't have to feel the sense of insecurity or lack or loss of some kind. And this goes for everything. So basically, if we're always coming from a fundamental feeling of loneliness, of separation, of limiting beliefs, or of lack, then anything we attract will, first of all, we will not really be able to enjoy it if it does come. Secondly, it probably won't really come into our existence, because whatever we are being is what we attract, and we'll go more into that in a bit as well. And also, even when we do get what we think that we wanted, there will always be that background fear of losing it, because we are not fundamentally free and whole already. And of course, to move into a place where we feel free and whole already can be quite a journey. It can happen just suddenly, instantly as well. And so with that, just trust that wherever you are is the perfect place to be, that whatever realizations you have right now are the perfect realizations that you're ready for at this point in your journey along this seeming timeline that is happening in your life. But fundamentally, I just want to anchor this in with you, is that who you truly are is consciousness, is life. It is consciousness projected through a human interface. So consciousness is the oneness of all of existence, or it's one aspect of existence, because there are layers before even consciousness into the absolute. I'm not going to go into that so much today, but for the sake of this understanding, everything here is consciousness projected into different forms. So even a stone or a tree has consciousness, or is consciousness projected in a certain vibratory state. There is consciousness projected through a cat's interface, through a gecko's interface, through a dolphin interface. You are consciousness projected through a human interface. But that which you are can never die, can never cease to exist. So even the fear of death is not actually real, because the only thing, and I'm going to quote my dear friend Tagassi in something that he said during the Hawaii retreat a few days ago, which I just feel is so to the point of everything. And what he said was that the only thing you fear is the death of that which you are not. The only thing that you will discover is the miraculous love that you already are. So fear of death is actually the fear of the loss of the idea of you, not the real you. So it's the fear of the loss of the illusion, the loss of the idea, the loss of the identification with the personality. But in the same way as when you wake up from a dream, say you have a dream that is happy, or that is traumatic, or that is fearful, or whatever, and then you wake up from the dream and you go, oh, it was just a dream. Same thing happens when the body falls away and our consciousness is freed up and merged really, truly, experientially back into pure love, pure positive energy, pure just oneness with all of existence. My feeling is that it will be something similar, that the body falls away and our being goes, oh, I thought I was that for that period of time. And actually, and that is true within this realm of the physical, quote unquote, physical experience. However, that which is dreaming the dream, that which is aware of everything, is completely immortal, it's completely untouched. So no harm can ever be done. We are infinity expressed. in an individuated form. And so the movement of the full circle is going from being identified as the human, as the separate self that is so important that we get things done on time, and it's so important what other people think of us, and it's so important what clothes we wear, or it's so important what the response will be to that WhatsApp message we sent to the guy we are interested in yesterday, or all these small things. It feels so important. But fundamentally no harm can be done, and so it's moving from being identified as that, with all the fears and insecurities, as the limited separate self, into realizing, fuck, we are infinity. Nothing ever is done to anyone. It's just life experiencing itself through us. And so moving from contraction into openness, and then realizing, okay, so we are a part of infinity in the same way that every wave is a part of the ocean. However, this unique expression is here for a reason. You had an intention before you came into this life. And intention, I don't mean specifics, I mean a theme. There's a general theme to your life that you can feel as an undercurrent that is carrying you. This kind of fundamental intention with you being here. And that can evolve and change, but some kind of general theme you will notice in this lifetime. And this is unique for everyone. So we are infinity expressed in a unique form through the human we can say that you are. And so the full circle is coming back into creation and then playing from there. So just checking in, does this make sense so far? Are you all on board with this? So let's see. So you can just let me know in the chat if you are all with me so far in this, if this resonates with you. And for some of you, you'll just be nodding like a full body, yes, 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 I am infinity, I am God, I am source, and life is a play. And for some of you, you might go like, oh, that sounds kind of nice, but I'm not really living it. And that's all fine. Just trust that you are in the perfect place where you need to be right now, because the proof is that you are. Whatever you're experiencing right now is the perfect experience, because it is the experience that you're having. Very simple. So just trusting that. Barbara says, yes, resonates. Cara says, yes, amazing. It's fun for me as well to have these little reflections in the chat, because I'm so used to leading workshops live, and then I can feel everyone, I can see the expressions on your face, and I can hear the sighs and the breaths and the recognition and all of that. And so it's really nice. Through the chat, I'm getting these little bleeps of connection from you ladies tuning in as well. So you're co-creating the experience in that way. So Christina says, yes, in and out of the experience of it. That's totally fine. Leonie says, what a good, what good to be reminded of this all the time. Yes, when the yes, it resonates, feeling parts of it. So I just want to echo that, what you said, Leonie. What good to be reminded of this all the time. And that is that the more we tune into this, the more we'll just start to naturally attract the kind of people that are also on this wavelength, that are also jamming in with this vibe, so that you'll just be surrounded by people who know this deeply more and more already. And when you are just in that environment more and more and more and more, which comes from you tuning into that more and more, then this will just, yeah, if it hasn't already, very soon it will reach a critical point where it just flips and you can't unknow this. Like, it's so deeply ingrained, this knowingness that you are infinity expressed and that you can never die, and that this life is a beautiful playground of infinite abundance where we can come together and share and explore in this way. So exciting. Yes, Alicia says, yes, good to deepen. Yes, Wendy, it resonates, feeling parts of it. Barbara says, actually, the remembrance of me being infinite is expanding my breath. Good. Yeah. Yeah, the body is definitely a beautiful tuning fork for this. So let me just have a sip of water. Just throughout the call, if you need some water or you need to just have a stretch. Also right now I'm sitting, because if I was kind of moving around, it would be a bit distracting for the camera. But what I often do if I'm watching a video or if I'm watching a webinar is that I'm kind of like a little bit dancing and stretching and shaking and move my body, either every now and then or kind of continuously, because I've found that when I move my body and allow myself to stretch and to move, then all of the information can go kind of straight into the body rather than filling up the head so much. So that's just the invitation for you to just take care of your own aliveness and relaxation and openness in this. Okay. So very important fundamental thing is about understanding vibration in relation to emotions. So let's see. Okay, cool. So I'm going to try to undistract myself from the chat so I can continue with this. So understanding vibration in relation to emotions. So if for a moment we just scrap the idea that there are many different kinds of emotions, that we just scrap the whole idea of like sadness and jealousy and anger and whatever, and we just see it as one spectrum from contraction to openness, from out of alignment to in alignment, from fear to joy and excitement and trust and all of that. And depending on where we are on this emotional spectrum, that indicates whether we are in or out of alignment with our higher self, or whatever you want to call that part of you that you have a sense of, which you can tune into, especially when you feel inspired, when you're feeling in tune with your intuition, which is that broader perspective, that expanded non-physical part of us, which has projected a portion of itself into us seemingly as physical beings through this physical form, but that has the greater perspective and that is connected really, really intimately with the source of everything. So if we look at the nature of life itself, if we look at the nature of life from the perspective of infinity, from infinity, nothing can ever be lacking. There is just infinite possibilities, infinite abundance, infinite parallel realities, infinite timelines, infinite everything. So infinity and abundance and what's that word? Endlessness or immortality, that just nothing ever stops, it just continues in different forms. That are some fundamental truths about just how this universe works, just how this life and universe and everything operates. And so that's the perspective of life itself and of our higher self. So in other words, lack does not exist. There is no lack in infinity. So when we are feeling abundant, when we are feeling joyous, when we are feeling this being in tune with the possibilities, that feels great in our being, because that is a perspective that is in alignment with our higher self, that is in alignment with truth and of existence itself. And when we are feeling contracted emotion, that is an indication that we are having a perspective or a belief or a thought that is out of alignment with truth, that is believing in lack of some kind. Again, lack cannot exist in any level. There can be the experience of lack, but for example, if you're saying, oh, I don't have enough money, then the universe, as your willing servant and as your mirror, says something like, okay, there's plenty of money over here, but she says she wants to have the experience of no money. So from the infinite possibilities of total abundance, it delivers to you the experience of a lack of money. But that is still an expression of the total abundance of the infinite possibilities of this life. It's like, okay, there's plenty of money over here in this parallel kind of timeline reality that you could shift into just through a shift of perspective. But you've asked for, you've said, proclaimed, I have no money, I have a lack of money, I don't have enough money. And the universe go, well, okay, then here is not enough money for you. But that is still an expression of total abundance. So in other words, emotion is simply your moment by moment indication of you're in alignment or out of alignment with your higher self or with truth. So that is something that is just really, really, really good to understand. And so emotion is the way that your higher self is communicating with you moment by moment by moment, either saying, yes, what you're feeling right now is totally on track, is totally, you know, in the game and in the vibe of the truth of existence, of abundance, or contracted emotion, meaning, hey, buddy, you're a little bit off right now. Hey, your perspective is a little bit clouded. And so whenever we have this feeling of something seemingly going wrong, or the feeling of, oh, this shouldn't be happening, then that just simply means that we are having an incomplete perspective. Because even something seemingly going wrong, so for example, somebody leaving our experience, or even a death of someone, or you know, something happening at work, or you missing an airplane or missing a train or whatever, that is just a slice of something that is, if you trust that, it's simply, when you're in alignment, that is simply life rearranging itself temporarily through a seeming messy event that is actually leading you into greater alignment. But when something seemingly messy happens, it's up to us how we receive that, the perspective we have about the situation, that will then determine which direction we then take, which parallel timeline reality we shift into. So one example from the other day I can share with you. So Saturday night, Saturday I hosted a gathering of friends here at my place, and then in the evening some of us went to Club Light in Amsterdam to the Shine party, to go and see Suda in concert, and then Karim Rahani was DJing. And me and a couple of friends, we were going to go to the station, and I was going to go ahead with my bike. They were going to go by car or whatever. And then I just missed the train. Like the doors were literally closing as I was like 1 meter from the train. It was like, boom. And then, of course, there's the possibility there. Like, first of all, if I had caught the train, I thought then I will be on time for the concert. Right? So that was the idea. And if I hold on to that, I have to be on time for the concert, and I just missed the train, meaning that I will not be on time for the concert. Like, trying to be on time for something that I'm already late for is kind of futile. So if I had held on to the form of that, then I would have gone into a contraction and a lack belief, like, oh no, things shouldn't be happening like this, something is going wrong. And most likely I would have experienced a lot of kind of bumpiness and things going wrong, because again, life is just reflecting to us whatever we're believing about it. However, my default mode, and through also backed up through experience, an experience coming from me knowing this to be true intimately. So when the doors closed and the train went away, I was like, cool. So this means that I was not meant to be on the train. This means that something else really awesome is going to happen, and trusting that I'm always at the right place at the right time. And right then, my friends who had gone by car to the station came walking up the platform. I was like, oh, cool, I can travel with them now instead of being on the train that is one train ahead of them. And then on the way to Amsterdam, I was messaging this friend that I was going to meet up, and I said, oh, I'm going to be a little bit late, but can we meet there? And she's like, oh, I'm late too. That's perfect. So we were going to meet by the piano in Amsterdam station, where people can just sit down and play. Let me see. Yeah, there's a piano in Amsterdam Central Station. People can just sit down and play, and people will just kind of gather around and listen. And I was like, oh, cool. So if I had been on that previous train, I would have just been waiting for her. But she was late already. So I was like, okay, right place at the right time. And then I came to this piano and I was waiting for her. And while I was doing that, I shot a little video about this. And then this woman came up to me and started asking about, what are you filming? And are you a filmmaker? I said, no, I'm just vlogging. And she started asking about what I do. And then she wants to come to the Women's Weekend that I have in Amsterdam in less than 2 weeks. So I was like, oh, cool. Right place at the right time. Trusting that, because this is when these kind of things happen. And then after meeting my friend, I was going to take my bike to go to Club Light. And then I was going to pump it. And the pump didn't work. And then this guy came and helped me out. And we started talking, and I invited him to come to the party. He said, no, I have to work. And I asked, so what do you do? And he said, I make promotional videos for kind of people like you. And I was like, cool, I've been looking for somebody who was going to do that. So can we get in touch? And then so we exchanged details. And this is just like many small examples. And then just when I enter Club Light, the DJ Karim comes out, and instead of going into the concert, we end up just having the most amazing conversations, planning collaborations for Bali, for the summer, for different retreats. that are going to happen in the coming months, and collaboration on Ibiza in May, and like Bali Spirit Festival, so like all these things. And so you see how something seemingly going wrong, like me wanting to catch a train and then just missing it. It's like almost like in the sliding doors movie, right? The doors just closing. If I go into contraction and being like, oh, this shouldn't be happening, meaning believing in lack, contracted emotion, indication, out of alignment with truth, out of alignment with higher self, then I will attract to me things going wrong, things not going my way, things bumping up and being frictiony, and just more and more and more of that, right? And instead, doors closing, me going, cool, something even better is going to happen. And it does. So this is just, and you got to try this out for yourself, but just watch when next time something seemingly goes wrong, what are the different possible perspectives that you can have about that? Because again, it's not about the event, it's about what you believe about what just happened that will determine your experience. There is no inherent meaning in circumstance. And so if something happens and you experience a contracted emotion, check in with yourself. Again, I mentioned this in the last live stream that we had Thursday. Through what belief in lack am I filtering the experience or the event that is causing this contraction or this feeling inside? And then come back to what is actually true, which is abundance, and shifting into and trusting this. Just by shifting into a state of trust and things just working out perfectly, and just knowing that so deeply, and keep on seeing that no matter what shows up, because there is the time gap in between our broadcasting a frequency, our emotion and a thought and a perspective. There is usually, and less so actually, as we move into this new time of 2016, as you might have noticed, that things happen faster and faster and faster. Even if things seemingly keep on going wrong, not going your way, just keep on trusting that is through the truth of your alignment and through your vibratory output that the rest of life and the rest of the universe responds. So keep on trusting that, and in a sense ignoring circumstances. So checking if this makes sense so far. Okay. So Sophia said it makes sense, but some days I can fathom the concept and some days not. Yes, and just trust it more and more and more as we go along. So Joanna says, your approach to missing the train makes total sense, but what about a more intense situation such as rape? Okay, it's a great question. So with something more intense, such as rape, again, the event is one thing and the experience of it is one thing. And I understand that with something such intense, such as rape, the most common response to that would be something of extreme hurt. What we can know is that every single attack is a cry for help on some level. So even on the level of the rapist, that is a call for love that is extremely disconnected, extremely misdirected, and extremely misguided, and coming out in a way that seemingly causes a lot of damage. There are many different perspectives, though, about an experience of rape that is in alignment with abundance and with love and with trust. And so I want to share a story with you in relation to this. So, and I actually heard this story told by David Data a few years ago in one of his workshops. So David Data was talking about this woman who had been doing quite a lot of practice with him. And again, David Data is a Tantra teacher. He teaches a lot about sacred sexuality and the masculine and feminine dynamics, if you don't know him. And so this woman had been doing a lot of work with David Data. And so she was really empowered. She was really in tune with her embodiment, with her inner strength, and with her inner just wholeness as a woman. And as she was going home from one of the workshops, in the night, this guy comes out, like in the park or something. This guy comes out, and I think he might even have had a knife or something, but he basically pushes her down on the ground and begins to rape her. And so, of course, that for pretty much everyone would be an extremely traumatic experience. This woman, though, what she did was that she saw through the entire thing. She saw straight through this man. And as this was happening, she surrendered and she looked into his eyes and she started stroking his cheek. And she said, "It's okay. It's okay. I love you. It's okay. You are loved." And this guy just breaks down in tears completely, and he just stops whatever stops what he's doing, sort of, you know, comes out, disconnects, and he starts crying like a little baby, and he says, you know, nobody in my whole life has ever told me that they love me. Nobody has ever told me that they love me. And she said, I understand. I see you. It's okay. And they end up having the most amazing conversation there. And then he says, you know what, let me walk you home. This is a really dangerous area, which is kind of hilarious when you look at just what happened. But that is possible. It's not normal. It's not common that somebody would respond with that way. But that is one possible thing, to just see straight through the seeming illusion of something going wrong or something happening, and seeing what is the cry for love, what is the cry for help here. So through the experience of contrast, whether that is somebody dying, rape happening, us experiencing some kind of emotional turmoil, or a relationship breaking up, again, all of it is an invitation to come into greater connection with the trust in everything, and the connection, the deep embodied connection with love itself, as just always being here, and that everything is either love or wanting to return to love. Everything is either an expression of love or a cry out for help and a cry out for love in some way. Another perspective of rape is the perspective of that it is possible to experience, and so this again ties back into the theme of your intention of coming into this life, which is usually beyond the scope of our personal asserted self understanding the details of that, but our higher self has the full gist of that. That if you are a teacher in this life, and many of you are in your own way, in whatever big or small or whatever seeming small way, that if you came into this life to teach about healing, perhaps before you came into this physical body, checking down on the earth, being like, oh, there's a lot of fucked up stuff going on. There's a lot of sexual abuse happening. I want to come in and teach about the healing of sexual abuse. That could be a potential theme to explore in the lifetime. And so through the experience of being sexually abused and going through the journey of healing that, because everything can be healed as long as you're still alive, and even after that, everything can still be healed. Come back to the essence, first of all, that is untouched, as well as releasing from the body the contractions and the implications that were stored in the body through the experience of the sexual abuse or the rape. Moving through the healing journey, you can also guide others on that. And so similar but different thing has been true for me in this life. So this ties into my theme of teaching forgiveness and teaching about just the knowingness of that death does not exist, and that forgiveness has nothing to do with the other person, but it's a realignment and total acceptance of everything that shows up. So for me, I'm not going to go into this so much. If you have more questions, maybe we'll share more about this in another training or something. For me, I have not personally been raped, but my older sister was, and she also died. So when I was 12, my sister, who was 18 at the time, she was raped and killed in my bedroom. So she was 18, I was 12. And this was everything that set me off on my own healing journey, because for the first 5 years after this happened, I was extremely sad, angry, suicidal. I used to cut myself a lot, wanting to kill myself all the time, just not understanding how something like this could happen. And of course, grieving the loss of my sister and all of that, and moving through my own process of that, taking care of my parents, or not taking care of them, but, you know, we're taking care of each other and holding each other through this, and moving through a lot of layers in this. And then 5 years after, so when I was 17 and starting practicing Tantra and starting on my own path of sexual healing, because the imprint of what she experienced came in really strongly in my own life and in my own experience. But through moving through that experience of first of all, sexual healing for myself, and releasing the contraction and the imprint that I picked up from the way she died and the way what happened to her, the way she, the brutality that her body went through before she left the body, and the way I picked that up, and having the experience through breath work, through dance, through tantra, through massage, through yoni release, through vaginal de-armoring, through all of this, having the personal experience of the healing, as well as forgiving him, forgiving the man who killed her, because seeing that he was in such a state of contraction and so cut off from life and in such pain that he wanted to put that pain perhaps into somebody else. And so seeing the pain and the cry out for love and the cry out for help that was coming through that, not condoning the behavior, saying that that was okay, but understanding fundamentally that where he was coming from, and seeing that from that place, that kind of makes sense in a way. Like, that's a person who's been through stuff that he was through could potentially do something like that. And so just seeing the perfection of everything, and also knowing that the truth of my sister is still existing. The truth, I still feel very much in connection with her even to this day. And so fundamentally no harm was done to the physical body. Temporarily, yes, but fundamentally never, none of it. And so through forgiving that and experiencing the freedom that comes through the power of forgiveness, and everything just opened up from that. So realizing that we're all one, that there's nothing to be afraid of, that forgiveness is a simple realignment and a seeing of the perfection of the unfolding of everything in life. And also moving through the experience of sexual healing, that sent me on the path of Tantra and discovery. And this is the impetus for everything that I'm doing now, including talking to you here today, right now. And so I've worked with more women that I can count who have been through sexual abuse, through session work, through healing, through just sharing the way I share with you now. And so crazy shit happens in life, and we can hold on to them and say this should not be happening, or trying to understand why or how we could have prevented it or whatever. And that's all just missing the point completely. The point is we are here to grow. We are here to expand. Within the human realm of experience, for us to have an experience of everything, everything has to exist. For us to have the experience of love and joy, sadness and fear and all of that has to exist as well, so that there is the full spectrum. But from the full spectrum, we can choose. So the point is not to go back into the story and of everything that happened, but see, okay, so what do I choose now? And so choosing forgiveness and choosing to live the healed version and choosing to expand, and everything that all of you are doing, that is the journey of expansion. And through you going through that journey, you can also help others. And also knowing this about helping others, there has to be the understanding that everyone is exactly where they need to be, this whatever, because we don't know what the deeper intention is of their soul or the theme of their higher self. So if we judge another person's experience and say, oh, how terrible that this happened to them, we don't actually know that. That terrible event that we are looking at from our slice of reality and our perspective, that might be the perfect experience for them, and them going through whatever they need to go through to expand into the next version of their self and who they came to be here in this life. So to not judge our own experience and also not judge other people's experience as terrible or shouldn't be happening or anything like that, because it's all just life expanding itself and coming into a greater fullness of everything that it is. So fundamentally, it's always just perfectly divinely orchestrated, and so trusting that. So those are all some different perspectives that can come on the experience of rape. And if we can have the perspective of perfection, even in something as extreme, seemingly extreme as rape or even death, then we can apply that, of course, extremely easily to something as simple as missing a train, which is kind of like just like a not even, oh, it's so tiny I can't even describe it. However, through everything, every experience, again, it's not about the event, it's about our perspective and our trust about the event. Are we believing in lack, or are we trusting in abundance? Are we seeing things from a limited perspective of things should not be happening this way, or are we trusting the total perfection of everything? And depending on our perspective, that will then attract a completely different life experience into our experience. So let's see, let me just go back to the chat. So we have some hearts and some goosebumps, very touching. Barbara says, ouch, big Ronja. Yeah, Joanna says, wow, so amazing to watch you speak about your sister in an obvious state of having healed yourself. Thank you so much for sharing, Ronja. Yeah, you're welcome. And I share, the thing is, like, this happens, so this happened now, like 17 years ago. It's been a long journey. I mean, now I can speak about it in this place where it doesn't cause any feelings of sadness or loss or anything like that. It's been quite a long journey, but again, it's just like living proof that healing is possible completely. And I feel very in tune with my sister, and she's also very clear about this was all perfect. This was no, there was no mistake happening in this, none whatsoever. This is all co-agreed upon on a higher level where literally we can never die. So it's all good. It's I don't wish for anyone to have that experience, because it's just terrible beyond, I mean, intensely horrifying beyond description when it happens. More intense than I can ever put into any kind of words, and also for my parents and all of that. But this is just, again, just proof of the human strength and perseverance, and also being carried by something so great that we are so supported. I mean, I'm not so in tune with like angels and guides and those kind of things, but the people who are, and if you like to believe in that, then apparently we are so supported non-physically and energetically all the time also. So just trusting in that. Kara says, what a gift to listen to this now. Thank you from my heart. You're very welcome. I feel grateful too. Barbara says, yes, every seemingly unexpected happening, we can see it as just missing the train. No mistakes. No mistakes, no mistakes, no mistakes. So I'm already completely going off like my notes of what I was going to share in this, but it's all being shared. It's all being shared perfectly, so it's good. So moving into more of the manifestation magic. So from this place of knowing that we are infinite, from this place of knowing that everything is just happening perfectly always, from this space of just knowing that the nature of this life fundamentally is complete abundance, complete infinite possibilities at all times. From that place of knowing that nothing can ever be lacking, let's play. Let's play. So, okay, so already fundamentally being whole, all that, from that, let's see what a kick-ass time we can create and have in this life. So this comes into creating the life of your dreams from a place of following your joy. So let's see. Okay, another sip of water. So my feeling is that you're already on board with this concept or the notion of that everything is energy. Everything. This is mostly empty space vibrating in something that appears as a human form. All of this, the camera that I'm looking into, all of you, everything is energy. Everything is vibration. And when it comes to the law of attraction and manifestation, the most important thing to understand is that you only have access to the kind of life experiences to which you are a vibrational match. You only have access to the kind of life experiences to which you are a vibrational match. If you want to write this down, feel free. Throughout the whole thing, by the way, if you want to take notes, if something just like, oh my God, that's a key for you personally. I haven't written anything down. I might send you some key points, but more importantly is if something stands out to you, then write it down, because that will be the most valuable for you. And also know that this is recorded so that you can come back. You can just take it in the first time, and then maybe the second time you want to take some notes, or just if something really jumps out, then write it down. And this might be one of those, that you only have access to the kind of life experiences to which you are a vibrational match. Another way of saying this is that if we look at the metaphor of a radio station, that depending on which frequency you tune your radio to, you'll get a certain kind of broadcast. So even now, as I'm sitting here, if you like if I would have a button or a dial or something, that a volume thing that I could turn up, and we would hear all of the radio broadcasts that are happening right now in the States, in Europe, in Asia, in India, in like, imagine all of the world's radio stations right now overlayered and being heard by our ears simultaneously. That is a fuckload of noise, right? Like that is a lot of frequencies layered. And this is very, very, very similar to all of life. It's actually a pretty perfect metaphor for it. Because even though we think that we live in the same world, that this is one world that we live in, there are an infinite number of possible broadcasts, of possible parallel experiences, depending on which frequency you're tuned to. So if you're tuned to a frequency of vibration, if you're vibrating on a frequency of fear and lack, and things are going wrong, and people are dishonest, and I might be screwed over by people, or trying to prevent things from happening, and that, then the life will match us perfectly, pretty much, as a perfect match to our vibratory output. If we are vibrating in a state and a frequency of the universe is an abundant place, people are fundamentally kind and loving and trying their best, everyone is doing the best that they can with what they have at the time. Men are beautiful beings. So if we look at the relationships, men are fundamentally beautiful beings on their own journey, and it's beautiful to come together in relationships, and I'm exactly where I need to be, and money is flowing abundantly, and I can do anything, and the world is a beautiful place, all this kind of stuff, then that will be reflected to us. So if we look at the world as a mirror, then life is always reflecting back to us whatever we are vibrating at. In other words, whatever we are being, whatever we are feeling, thinking, emanating. And so in the same way that if we're standing in front of a mirror, it's not that like we would be so stupid standing in front of our bathroom mirror and like waiting for the reflection to change first. Standing completely still and waiting for the reflection to move in a different way. Maybe if you've taken some psychedelic drugs, then you'll see your reflection moving even though your body isn't moving. But like in the normal sober state, if whatever you're doing is happening in the reflection of the mirror, and life is exactly the same. The only thing that is the thing with life, we can say in general, which makes us maybe not realize that this mirror effect is happening, is because of the time gap that is put in place. And the time gap is actually pretty good, because like if you instantly attracted everything you wanted, if you instantly attracted everything you thought about and everything you felt instantly, that would be a very chaotic life experience. And also that it would not give you the time, like it's this time gap in between vibration and manifestation, between thought and it showing up, is a kind of like a safety buffer that gives you time to course correct, to be like, oh, this is what I thought I wanted, but actually I want this more now. You have that possibility to course correct because of the time gap. So the time gap is actually really, really, really good. It also gives us the time to integrate the experiences. So, because very often when we desire something, we might not be fully ready to receive it. So, for example, when I just came out of my previous relationship and I became really clear about the kind of partner that I want to have in my next relationship, I was super clear about the kind of person that I wanted to be with. Through, again, this is something that Abraham says a lot, when you're clear about what you don't want, you are, again, so much more clear about what you do want. So through the experience of contrast, that crystallizes desire in a so much more powerful and potent way. So contrast is perfect. So through seeing the reflection of the things in my previous relationship, I became super clear about the kind of relationship and partner that I want to have next. I was also clear about like, okay, this is what I want. I'm not ready right now. Like right now, I just need to go through the period of letting go and experiencing all of the emotions and the sadness and the everything that just needs to process in my system. Just seeing the perfection of that and being like, okay, universe, I placed the order. Just know about the delivery date. Like I'll let you know when I'm ready. I'll let you know when I'm ready. And basically that time when I was ready came a few weeks ago, and I was in Hawaii, and I said to the universe, like, okay, you know, remember what I ordered, you know, like, you can deliver it now. And then it was like maybe 3 days later or something, I met this beautiful, amazing man that is everything on that list. And I do want to speak a little bit later maybe to letting go of the attachment to the form about this. So let me just make a little note that I'll come back to this later, because it's not actually about getting the guy or getting the car or getting the job or whatever. I think, yes, I've already put that down as a note for later. But so that's just about the time gap that is really, really useful. But basically, life is just always reflecting back to you, can only ever reflect back to you your inner state of being. And so the way that we can really begin to live in a way where this becomes a conscious creation experience is to stop taking our cue for the way we feel from our circumstances. So the way to say this, let's see. So basically the gist of it is to always be vibrationally focused rather than situationally focused. So what this means is that your number one priority in any given moment and your number one awareness is your state of being, your feeling, your thoughts, your beliefs, everything that is showing up. And with this, I also want to say that easier than trying to control your thoughts or like, oh, not thinking that or thinking that, just tune into your state of being, because that's more stable. Thoughts are coming, with some exceptions, thoughts are coming pretty much continuously, although the more you come into the awakened space, the more long periods of silence can be experienced as well. But generally speaking, for human beings, the stream of thoughts is pretty constant. So we have so many thoughts. Somebody says something like 60,000 thoughts per day or something like that. However, our feeling state is slightly more stable, depending on the time of the month, maybe for us women, but our feeling state is more stable. So it's more tuning into, am I experiencing alignment or out of alignment? I'm experiencing openness or contraction in this. So being tuned to that, and that feeling good or feeling expansive, feeling relaxed, feeling trusting, feeling joyous, that is the most important thing, because that is the state that life will then reflect to you, even in the midst of seeming messy chaos and stuff happening. Because if you are looking at what is around you, if you're looking at your circumstance and then basing your inner state of being on your circumstances, say something is happening that you don't really like and you feel kind of crappy about it, then through you feeling crappy about the circumstance, you'll just experience more things to feel crappy about. And so if you take your cue from circumstances for how you feel, you're always going to be a victim. You're always going to be at the mercy of things having to show up in a certain way, which also creates this kind of control freak syndrome where things have to go your way. Otherwise, you'll feel really tense or really contracted or really flustered and really stressed out or whatever. And then again, that just kind of perpetuates itself. So the way to shift this is, first of all, the realization that whatever you're seeing is a reflection of your inner state of being, not in this moment perhaps, but whatever you've been experiencing before. And there are more complex layers to this, because challenge also has a function of again, crystallizing desire and making us stronger and all of that. So there is a function of challenge showing up as well. But again, it's not about the event. It's about how we feel about the event and what perspective we have about it. And when you shift your perspective and when you shift your state of being independent of circumstances, that is when the tables turn. And when you become in charge of your life experience, it's not about waiting and seeing what happens. No, you decide what happens through your state of being. Again, it's not about controlling circumstances and micromanaging things, but coming into this feeling of like, okay, whatever that is happening on the quote unquote outside is not actually important. What is important is how I feel. It's how I feel. It's how I feel. And so this comes into one of the bullet points that I sent out in the email just before this, which is become the DJ of your life. And this is one of my favorite analogies. Becoming the DJ of your life. So the way most people live their life is that they say that they're in a party, and they are not enjoying the music. And they're kind of dancing, but it feels a bit awkward because they're not enjoying the music. And they're like, oh, I wish that the DJ could change the music. And you're feeling like, and you start complaining to your friend about what a crappy party this is, and how you wish that you were in another party, and that, oh, I thought I was going to go to this other party, but then I didn't, and I wish that I would have. And you keep on just being in the state of complaining about the music that is playing and how everything sucks. That's how most people live their lives, which is being in reactive mode rather than being in creative mode. So the way you want to live your life is to become the DJ. And the way to live as being the DJ of your life is that, first of all, you are behind the DJ booth, right? So you are picking the tunes, you are turning up the volume, you are choosing the state of vibration. So in this analogy, if you haven't understood this already, the music that you're choosing, the music that you're playing, is your vibratory output. Your vibratory output, in other words, your state of being. Fundamentally, your emotions, or the emotional guidance you can tune into. Am I in alignment or out of alignment? And that communication from your higher self is happening mostly via the plane and the medium of emotions. So again, also this ties into thoughts and beliefs. So basically, what am I emanating? What am I being? What am I vibrating as? That is the DJ playing the music. And depending on, as the DJ, depending on which music you play, everything on the dance floor, everyone on the dance floor will begin to move in a different way. So if you play a slow tune, then the audience will begin to move in a certain way. If you play something really deep and dirty, then the audience will move in a certain way, etc. The people on the dance floor. So that's the people on the dance floor is the rest of life, is the life experience. So rather than being on the party and complaining about the music and being reactive, you begin to be creative and become the DJ of your life. Again, you are picking the tunes, you are picking your state of vibration, and you are the one that is in the complete power and position to play. So begin to play with your life experience very playfully in this. Not about, oh, I have to micromanage every thought, or oh, I had a negative emotion so that now I'm attracting terrible things. It's not about that. It's just knowing, trusting that whatever you're experiencing, even seeming negative emotion, actually has a function of increasing your depth, increasing your compassion, increasing your capacity for feeling the full spectrum of emotion without contracting in on any of it, without resisting anything. So everything serves its purpose. So it's not about necessarily feeling happy completely all the time, but just trusting the perfection of everything. But from that place of trust, we can actually become the DJ and choose what we are wanting to put out in this. Okay. So the universe is completely responsive to your state of being in this. So I just want to say, because I do see quite some things popping up in the chat, and I want to keep on going and just see also if some things are clarified. And then if you want me to answer, if something comes out really strongly that you want me to answer at the end, then mark it red, mark it as a question, because then I'll be able to see it through the filter of the of this. Jonah says, I'm already a DJ, so I have no excuse. Exactly. You know how it is, right? When you're the DJ, you're in the position of power. Like you're the queen of the party. So you're the queen of the party of your own life. Just get that, okay? It's not about waiting for the party to start. No, you bring the party. You are the party. So yeah, so just as a side note, that if you have stuff for the Q&A, just mark it red, mark it as a question, and I'll come back to it at the end. And also some things might be answered already. So, another, okay, I already know we're not going to cover everything today. We'll just have a part 2 or 3 or whatever. That's fine. So I'm going to try and go through things pretty quickly and it might feel like a lot, but again, you'll be able to come back to it and just see whatever clicks in. So one of the fundamental understandings that I had actually a few years ago, maybe 5 years ago or something, that just opened up this whole sense of ease and flow, and it's not about, oh, I need to pull really hard so that I can pull in my dream partner, and to pull really hard so I can pull in the money or whatever, is to realize the mutuality of the law of attraction. In other words, when you desire something and you come into vibrational alignment with that which you desire, a magnetic effect occurs. Let me say that again. When you desire something and you come into vibrational alignment with that which you desire, a magnetic effect occurs. So if you look at two magnets, that's a mutual attraction, right? And so the way the law of attraction is usually described is that that which is like unto itself is drawn, or in simpler terms, like attracts like. So it's not that you, from one point, from a one directional point of being, it's not that you are attracting things. No, you come in to alignment with something or with someone, and you are attracting each other. So very simply is that a very good example of this is that whatever you have as the idea of your dream partner, first of all, if you have an idea of your dream partner or your ideal partner, the kind of partner you want to be in relationship, and you have the feeling of like, oh, that is very much out of reach, first of all, to check, am I the perfect partner for that ideal partner? So this is something we're going to go through it very much in depth in a future training, which is more about like how to attract the kind of partner that you're really longing for, either a new person, or if the current partner that you're with can shift into that through your going through some inner shifts. But for now, let's just say it like this: whatever you have as your idea of your ideal partner, are you the ideal partner of that person? And so seeing whatever needs to just grow and evolve within you. And again, this is not about faking anything, but just in becoming more of who you really are and coming into more of your fullness. So it's all good. It's all just a win-win-win for everyone. But when you become a vibrational match to that, a magnetic effect occurs. And so you are having this feeling of this is my longing and this is my desire for this kind of partner. If you are a match to that, that means that you are the answer to the longing of that person, and you begin to magnetize towards each other. So it's not about you trying to pull something in, it's also surrendering to the pull that is happening from that which is whatever you desire. Surrendering to the pull rather than trying to pull in is a much more effortless state of being. Again, it's not about effort or action as such, it's more about surrendering to the guidance, surrendering to the pull of that. And so of course this brings the questions, how do we know about that? How do we know about that guidance? How do we listen to that? And the very simple answer to this is follow your excitement, follow your joy, follow your bliss. Because the bliss and the joy and the excitement is your higher self saying, come this way, come this way, come this way, come this way. This is the way to go, this is the way to go, this is the way to go, this is the way to go. And the beauty of this, of course, is that this just makes for a really kick-ass time all the time. It's not about getting there. It's not about trying to manifest something so that then you can feel great, but it's about feeling great already and just watching how life unfolds in a fucking magical way as a result of you already feeling great. But truthfully, whatever it is that you desire, whether it's something in business or in relationship or in life or whatever, you don't have to be clear about the how. Just forget completely about the how. Life orchestrates that. Right? Life has a so much greater perspective of all of this than you can possibly have from your individual perspective. Even if you're the most psychic person on the planet and you're like the superstar psychic person or something, there's still a greater perspective. So life does the orchestration, life does the matchmaking, life does all of this. There's just, and you can look back at some of these things. If this happened in your life and the more you tune into this, the more things will just start showing up magically, synchronistically all the time. I could have told you the rest of my Saturday night, and it was like all of the synchronistic meetings, and I had been having this like just a random thought the other day, like, oh, I want to cut my hair, but I want to do it with this like energetically aware hairdresser that can really feel the energy field and releasing stuff from the past and stuff. And I had just kind of playfully had that thought a few days ago, and like, oh, I would love to find someone like that in Holland. And then my friend at Club Light comes and sits down, and she just had a haircut, and she starts telling me about this woman who cut it, which is exactly what I have been asking for. And so how did that happen? Like tiny example, but it's like these random things, seemingly random synchronicities. That's like life is orchestrating, right? So you don't have to figure out the how. You can't figure out the how. Just follow the excitement, follow the bliss, because that is the guidance by your higher self communicating with you when you are in alignment with that which you want, with that which you desire. And you just keep on following that. And that will not only bring to you everything that you desire, but often something even better than that. Because when you follow your bliss and follow your excitement, you suddenly get access to things that you previously did not have access to. So an analogy that I would like to use for this is the idea of standing in any moment, in any situation. It's like standing in front of different portals, different doors. For the purpose of this, let's just say you have 5 different doors, and these 5 different doors are different options. It could be options, different perspectives. For example, one event happens and there are 5 different perspectives that are possible about what just happened. And depending on the perspective that you choose, that will lead you into a new possible life experience, like a parallel reality. It can also be different options for actions. So if you have like 5 different things that you could be doing, like go to your class, you could tune into this webinar, you could go and get a massage, you could write an email, you could do your taxes, or whatever. And there are different things that they feel, some things might feel like, oh, that kind of really sucks, it doesn't excite me at all, or that feels like moderately excited, that feels kind of neutral, that feels a little bit exciting, and this feels like, OMG, that's so exciting, I can barely contain myself. Then when you follow whatever feels the most exciting, so you go through this door, which is the door that represents whatever feels the most exciting. When you enter through that door and you follow your excitement, 5 new doors appear, metaphorically speaking. And they're all branching out from that one door of following your excitement. And then from that space, it's like, okay, whatever feels the most exciting now, going through that, 5 new doors appear. But those like 5 steps down the line, you can see how this would kind of pan out in the extension of this. 25 steps ahead in that, and the excitement and the bliss and the joy and the magic that you're living is something that you couldn't even fathom possibly. I mean, I do this all the time. I follow what's the most exciting all the time, and things are just accelerating and increasing so much. But I can imagine, a week from now or a month from now or a year from now, looking back at this moment and being like, oh girl, you just had no idea what's possible, did you? Because we don't have access to it until we're there. But this is how this breadcrumb trail of excitement, which is something that both Abraham and Bentinho speaks about a lot, following the breadcrumb trail of excitement, which is the same as this kind of going through the doors, like, okay, this feels the most exciting. Another 5 options, another 7 options, another infinite options, actually, but to make it simple, just let's say 5. We can't see that from wherever we're standing right now, but this is how we are continuously expanding into yet greater, no upper limits version of ourself and of our experience of this life. And just to say, because I can almost hear you having this like, yeah, but what about this thing about doing my taxes? Do I not have to do that? Yeah, but there's also different ways of going about that in a way that it's most exciting. So if you're feeling kind of crap about everything, then doing something that feels really heavy is probably not the right way to go. If you set a deadline, okay, it has to be done by this date, and just trusting that it will be done by that date. And even if it isn't, and if you have to pay an extra little fine or whatever, that will be fine too. But just coming into excitement, because that will lead you into such a state of power and empowerment and alignment, so that when it comes to something like doing your taxes, and maybe there are some of you also who think that that's really fun, so that's good for you. You find a way to come into alignment with that. But if that, whatever, taxes or paying bills or something, if that doesn't feel fun, then first coming into a general state of empowerment, suddenly those kind of things become a lot easier. And also maybe you can put on some really great music while you are doing your taxes. Maybe you can wear a really nice dress while you're doing your taxes. Maybe you can wear high-heeled shoes. Maybe you can have some extra chocolate. Maybe you can have like, okay, I'm going to have 3 hours of doing this, and then I'm going to go for a massage. So you see, like, there are all these, from creativity and inspiration, there are all so many different ways of going about it, and being like, oh, I'm going to punish myself and sit down and do this thing that I really don't want to do. forget about that. Just follow something that feels more exciting, and then from that place, action even to things that previously seemed like really a big cause of resistance or contraction suddenly seem easy. So this is how we keep on expanding into this. Does this make sense so far? So permission for following the excitement. Hell yeah. Joanna says, cool. So does this make sense so far about following the excitement? Another example of this that was just Sophia says, great tips right now. I'm really good at following my excitement, not so great at doing taxes. Exactly. So just see also these things. There are actually people who love numbers, who get really excited about organizing things and getting things sorted out and feeling this clarity of, it's done and all of that. So just see with whatever that is, whether that is like taxes or creating a website or, customer service or whatever. Leonie, who is on the call right now, she is my very sexy virtual assistant who is helping a lot with the Central Yogini, more and more so with customer love and care, and also practical things about like, when I click on this doesn't work, so why is that not happening? And she's like, yes, I'm here, I'm the superhero and taking care of this. And so that is freeing up a lot more time for me as well to just be in this space of sharing. And so seeing also the possibilities of like, okay, so how could I outsource that? How could I have somebody else who it's in their joy to do this thing that is not in my joy at all? Can I hand that over to somebody? So taxes and website programming and all that kind of stuff is a perfect example, because personally, like, I've created all my websites and sites and everything myself because I think it's really fun. And if I didn't, I'd hire somebody else to do that, or get a friend to exchange if money wasn't there for it, whatever. There's always creative solutions. So Dagmar says, it sounds so easy when you speak. Great, good. Kara says, I think Ben, so Ben is Bentinho. I'm assuming you mean Bentinho. Let those things be done by someone else who enjoys it. Exactly, exactly. So there are always creative solutions. And if you're into that, you can always pray to Ganesha, who is the god of creative solution. And Leonie, you ask, so I might come back to this later, but it feels relevant right now. How do you feel the difference between having to follow your excitement or resisting? Well, resistance feels like resistance and excitement feels like excitement. I'm not sure if I understand your question, because it feels really clear to me, the difference between following your excitement or resisting. However, if you mean having to follow your excitement as an obligation, that's a different thing. I think I know what you mean now. I think I know what you mean. So if it comes to something, okay, let's stick with the taxes example, because I think it's pretty relevant to a lot of people. So the difference between resisting or avoiding, I think you're talking about here. So for example, say there's something that I feel like, I need to be doing this, but I feel a lot of resistance towards it. Then it can also, and it feels like, I don't want to do this thing, I'm going to avoid it, and then go over here to where it seems like it's more fun. That, like the following the excitement, is just a general awesome way of living life in general, because that again is the inspiration and following the inspiration and the passion and the guidance in that way. Just realizing that when you feel resistance about something, it is not actually the thing itself that is causing the resistance, but it's again your perspective. So if you feel really strongly resistance about something that you still feel like, okay, I am actually going to have to do this, I can't, like, ideally, well, this is actually a choice. It's not ideal. It's very much a free choice. You could just leave it and be like, okay, I feel resistance towards doing this thing, so I'm just going to find someone else to do it for me that enjoys it. That is one solution. If it's something that it seems like, or actually is like, okay, this has to be done by me and I'm feeling resistance towards doing it, that is the moment to check in. What beliefs am I having about this that are causing the resistance? Can I find a more spacious feeling about this? But it's really important to not, from a place of resistance, move straight into action, but first to see how you can dissolve the resistance. Because again, resistance is simply a lot of, well, two things. It can either be just a lot of energy, like resistance in the body, that is being That means a lot of energy held in place that is wanting to actually move and return to the free flow of everything. Or it can just be an out of alignment perspective. So just check in, is my perspective in or out of alignment with abundance or with something? Like, is there something that I'm thinking or believing that this implies for my life experience that is out of alignment and that I can debunk and see through and dissolve in this? Mariella says, I love this one, Ronja. I missed parts to get my daughter from school. Can we listen again afterwards? Yes. This will be, the replay will be instantly available as soon as this ends. And I'll put it up probably tomorrow. I'll post it in the Facebook group immediately, the replay for this. And it took me a little bit longer to do it in the membership site. So I'll probably put it up tomorrow in the Sensual Yogini members area. But yes, you can listen to it afterwards, everything. So no worries. And I recommend that you do that. So yeah, Sophia says, when I can't find excitement, gratitude helps a lot. I kind of hate cleaning, but I focus on being grateful that I live in a day and age where I have running hot water in my home instead of carrying buckets from some faraway river. Heating it up on making fire, heating up the water, taking some ash and animal fat to create soap. Yeah, very, 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 very kind of like time-consuming cleaning in the old days. A vacuum cleaner, dishwasher, etc. Yeah, exactly. So gratitude. I'm gonna speak more about gratitude a bit later, or maybe in part 2 or whatever. We'll see. So moving on. So let's see. Oh God, I'm covered a lot already. That's great. Just checking in. So another way of saying this. Well, first of all, I want to ask you, so are you all familiar with the concept of the vortex? So the vortex is a term that was coined by Abraham Hicks. And so if you haven't checked out Abraham Hicks yet, and if you want to know more about the vortex, then just do a YouTube search, and there's like tons of stuff around that. But very simply, the vortex is basically another word for vibrational alignment. If you imagine that whatever you desire, whenever you have a desire for more money or a partner or a house or traveling somewhere or whatever, that desire is projected into the universe and into life, and it's stored, what we can call your vortex. So your vortex is like this energetic, vibrational, swirling placeholder for everything that you desire. And when we come into alignment, we get into the vortex. So this is what they talk about being in the vortex. And when you are in the vortex is when you feel excited, when you feel tapped and tuned and turned on, when you feel excited about life. That's being in the vortex. And so being in the vortex is your access point to everything that you desire. Everything that you desire is in the vortex. So the access point to everything you desire is by being in the vortex. It's very, very simple. So it's simply through shifting into an amazing state of being that you get access to everything you desire. And Abraham also talks about this as a kind of 3-step, I think it's 3-step or maybe 4-step, whatever process. Let's see, we'll find out how many steps they are when I say it. So step 1 is that you have a desire of some kind. The desire can be a conscious one, or it can just be something that is almost subconsciously projected just through you going through the contrasting life experience. And step 2 is that source or life answers that, because whatever you desire is already there as a potential experience. It already exists. Whatever partner you're desiring is already existing right now. And so from the space of infinity, that is already answered. And then step 3 is simply coming into vibrational alignment, or what they also call the art of allowing, which is coming into a place, coming into the vortex, which is where you have access to rendezvousing with that which you desire. So the only thing that you have to do is basically to feel a desire and then becoming a vibrational match to it by feeling good, by just feeling excited, by feeling trusting, by feeling all of this. And so again, if you're feeling contracted emotion, it's not about beating yourself up, but just trusting that whatever experience you have is the perfect preparation for that. There is value in the time gap, but that's basically it. Desiring something, feeling excited about it, and just being in a state of trust, and just keep on living your life and following your excitement moment by moment. And the rest is just orchestrated by life. So knowing that everything you want is in the vortex. I want to give another example from yesterday in this. It's so funny because life is happening so quickly now with everything. So yesterday, so Saturday night, I had a very good night. I had just 3 hours of sleep. I was very, very tired on Sunday yesterday. And I was planning to go to a workshop Sunday, sort of lunchtime in Amsterdam. And it was more than like an hour's bike ride. And I was kind of biking, and I wasn't sure of the way really. I didn't like, my phone battery was dead, and I couldn't really like get there on time. And somewhere there, like a bit over halfway, something just felt off. And I was like, you know what? This feels a bit pushy. I feel like I'm really trying to get on time for something. I feel like I'm really trying to, like, oh, I said I was going to be there, so I should. It wasn't really coming from my own excitement, but more like loyalty to the people that I had said, like, oh, I need to be there, and I will be there, see you tomorrow. But something just felt off. I was like, you know what? This doesn't feel aligned. And so, of course, I could go into like shifting my perspective about it and talking myself into a better feeling state about like, oh, it's going to be beautiful once I get there, and it's fine even if I show up a bit late or whatever. But in this moment, it was like, you know what? This feels too upstream. This feels too pushy. Actually, in this moment, what is true is that I feel blissfully and extremely tired from having had almost no sleep. To go to a workshop actually from this place does not feel like the greatest thing, mostly because I would still have to kind of like cycle for another half an hour or 40 minutes, and I wasn't really up for that in that moment. So then I tuned into, okay, so what does feel exciting right now? What does feel the most amazing right now? And also a question that I ask often is, what would feel nourishing for me right now? And then I got this image, it's like, oh, I would love to be in nature. I would love to be in warmth. I would love to be in a place where I can just relax. And then I realized, like, oh my God, I'm close to the Waterloo Plain. I'm probably saying this in the wrong way, Waterloo Plain or something in Amsterdam. It's like, I'm really close to the Hortus Botanical Garden, where I haven't been for like a year or two. And so it's like, that feels really exciting. That feels really nourishing. And then I went to the Botanical Garden instead, and I spent the entire day sitting there in the warmth and the humidity and the sunshine coming in through the greenhouse in this like tropical rainforest type place, and just having, because I've been in so much of a space of output and creativity, this was really an experience of just allowing myself to receive, just allowing myself to just tune in, to not have so much output. I ended up recording a couple of videos because that's kind of what spontaneously happens when there's the filled upness. I was recording something to the women who are coming to the workshop the weekend after next in Amsterdam about how to prepare for it. But most of it, I was just sitting there and tuning myself into this and receiving. And then, of course, a few people walk in that have been participants in my workshops previously, and we start talking, and they say, hey, we were thinking about you recently and we want to come to some workshops. And again, there's this rendezvousing that happens, like following my excitement and then meeting the right people where they line up with what I have to offer, and they express that they want to come to workshops, and we get some new ideas about what could be created, and these things kind of happen. And then a number of other things that were just kind of the perfect, that it turned out that actually this was such a perfect thing, because it led to some insights that were really important for today's webinar. When I was sitting there meditating by the plants, within like 5 minutes, the download of the entire training, which I have probably got to like a bit more than halfway, we'll cover in part 2. All of that just downloaded, and I had the intention, like, oh, I need to sit down and just write down all the keys for this manifestation magic webinar, and that just happened because I had been following my alignment and following my resonance. And so even when something doesn't logically make sense, just trust that inner guidance and follow that, and then very often after the fact you'll realize, that's why that made sense, like that's why this happens. And sometimes you'll see that within a day, sometimes you'll see it within minutes, sometimes you'll see it after a few months or a few years. Like I can very, very clearly see how my marriage ending, even though at the time it felt like this is the most terrible thing that could have ever happened, there's no point in me living anymore and all that kind of stuff happening, looking back now and seeing how this is just life moving the pieces about and answering our desires and answering everything that we wish for and bringing all of us into greater alignment, I can now see like, oh my God, that was the perfect thing that could, like, I'm so grateful that that happened now. Not just from a spiritually like new age perspective of being grateful for everything, but literally, if I look back at everything that has happened since then, since my divorce, it's like, fuck, I'm so grateful. Like things are so, just, I can't even describe how things have been expanding since then, through my choice of trusting the process and coming into alignment, and also both me and my ex-husband meeting someone who is actually in greater alignment with who we are, and just trusting that more and more and more. So trusting that and following that. Great, great, recognizing this. Awesome. So okay, ladies. So I want to, oh God, this is so hard because it's like I'm looking at the I have written down 8 keys to shortcuts to manifestation, which is about the real reason. Number 1 is about the real reason why you want what you want. Number 2 is about gratitude and about really using that as a way to just accelerate everything. And there are a few keys within the concept of gratitude that are about just really just high speeding, like just super accelerating the rate of manifestation. But there are some specific keys of how to use gratitude to do that. Number 3 is about the quickest way to increase the amount of money that flows into your life. Number 4 is about alignment before action and tuning into the radio station of inspiration. And number 5 is about different ways to shift into alignment, and also what to do when we feel like shit, what to do when we feel stuck, when we feel contracted, when we feel like crap. And oh yeah, number 6 was about following your joy, bliss, and excitement, which we already have spoken quite a lot about. Number 7 is about debunking unworthiness, and number 8 is about debunking fear and seeing through fear, as well as things about following our dreams and really trusting that and just seeing through the fears that are coming up. But I'm going to go to your class in like a bit over 20 minutes. So I'm just realistically saying, like, we're not going to go through this today. So we're simply going to have a part 2, maybe part 3. We'll just see. There's an abundance of time. So I'll check in with my schedule when we can do that. It might be later this week. You can write in the chat also if you want to. Do you want to have this part 2 like tomorrow or later this week or the week after? Of course, my schedule is pretty busy, but I'm going to check what is possible. But you can let me know in the chat, like, when you would like to go through the part 2 of this. If you want, like, yes, I want it now, let's do it tomorrow, or I could maybe do it tomorrow even. Because when we're on a roll, it's really nice to continue, but I want to kind of wrap it up pretty soon here, or if we're going to do it next week. So yeah, it might be even tomorrow we're going to go through. But I want to stop with the sharing from my part right here and go to some of questions. So we'll see if I do some, we'll do some Q&A. Okay, Kara says, yes, part 2. Monday is great. Also Tuesday when it's not too late. Tomorrow sounds good. Tomorrow sounds great. Yeah, maybe we'll just do it tomorrow. Tomorrow, thanks. So is 3 p.m. good for you? Like, could we do tomorrow, like in like 24 hours later? Shall we do tomorrow? Let me just open my Google Calendar and see. Yes, part 2 tomorrow. Okay, cool. It's good to take it in portions, because then you can, this is like pretty dense, you know, we can, let's see, tomorrow, yoga, 4:30. I was going to go to 2 yoga classes in a row tomorrow. I'll just do one. I'll just do the Vinyasa yoga at 5:45. So we have more time. Okay, so tomorrow, 3 p.m. Okay, so I also realized that like if I ask you ladies about like what time is good for you, I'm gonna get all sorts of answers. So ultimately I just have to look at kind of my schedule and see what feels in the flow. But let's see. How about tomorrow morning? How about tomorrow morning? That's a good question. Okay, so let us have a little vote thing. We can either do, let's see, I'm on Amsterdam time zone, so you just have to translate that to whatever it means for you. I'm just tuning in. We can either do 11 a.m. Amsterdam time, or like 3 or 3:30. Let's say 3. Well, the kids, yeah, so they're all different perspectives here. Not morning, tomorrow evening, please. Alicia, oh no, 3 p.m. Is that, you mean yes 3 p.m. or no 3 p.m.? Okay, let's do 3 p.m. Tomorrow I'm gonna also do some filming and some recording for Central Yugini month 5, which is pretty exciting. Central Yugini month 5, we're gonna have some nice things for that. So I wanna do that during, okay, we'll go for 3 p.m. So 3 p.m. tomorrow, we'll do part 2. I'm just gonna kind of clone this webinar, and you can, I'll email, let's see, I shall email the link very briefly for part 2 to you all, and I'll also post it in the Facebook group so you can register there. I might have time to do that today, or I'll just post it tomorrow morning because I'm going to yoga and then massage. So if you haven't seen it, I'll just post the link in the Facebook group immediately, and then I'll email it out to you probably tomorrow morning, would be my guess. So yes, this was part 2 will be tomorrow 3 p.m. Amsterdam time, and then we'll go further in that. Awesome, that's cool to feel you all, ladies. That's really, really nice. So yes, so I want to just go to some questions. Tomorrow 3 p.m. will be part 2. And all of it will be recorded, so don't get your knickers in a twist if you can't be there live. Of course, live is better because I want to have also more time for Q&A tomorrow, and we have really gone through everything. So let's see what is relevant, because some of the questions that have come in will be covered tomorrow. Diana says, heading out now. Thanks so much for sharing. Loved it so far. Great. Love you. Bye. So going to some questions. So a question that came in from via email from Margriet. She says, right now, oh, I'm going to answer, oh God. Okay, I'm going to answer a part of this tomorrow as well, which is about debunking fear and stuff. Right now, I'm in a phase in my life where I'm quitting my job to create time and space for something new, travels, volunteering, reconnecting with things I enjoy. On some level, I am very clear that whatever the outcome, this is what I want to experience right now. Good. Yet besides excitement and curiosity, I also notice a lot of stress and agitation, me wanting to fill that upcoming gap as soon as possible, thinking I must figure out what is best. Sorry, I must figure out what this one best plan for my next step is, and that I can't rest till I've created that plan. So I guess my question is, what could help to take new steps from a feeling of trust? Thank you and enjoy the webinar. Love, Margriet. So some of this will be answered tomorrow, which is when I will go through more of debunking fear and lack beliefs. And also some things about this. Oh, they're so beautiful though. Like I've spoken with quite a few friends just in the last few days that have quit their jobs, and it's so exciting to hear. I'm not saying that everyone needs to quit their job, but if you hate your job, you should definitely quit it and do something you love instead. And so just the fears that might come up in relation to that is something that I'm going to go through more tomorrow. But the very short answer is that you do not have to have the best plan, because the best plan, again, if you imagine being like, there are these different things that I could be doing, like what is the best way to go? you do not have access to everything from your current perspective. You only have access to whatever you have access to right now. And it is through following your excitement and following your resonance that you then see the next step. Again, it's like following that, like, oh, this, surrendering to the pull of the excitement and surrendering to that, and feeling that communication from your higher self to your personally asserted self, and trusting that, trusting the excitement, trusting the passion and the joy that you feel that, and just move in that direction. And then it's like, as you're walking, the path lays itself out in front of you, but you have to start walking. You have to start walking again. If you're standing in front of the mirror and you want the reflection to shift, you begin by moving, and then the reflection, the universe rushes in to reflect that. So it's not about waiting for circumstances to change before you can take that first step, but it is through taking that first step, walking in faith and stepping out in trust and trusting that. And it's a moment by moment thing. So it's not like you're going to fall off. I mean, some people actually do fall off cliffs. That's relevant for them, but it's not like you're going to fall off a cliff if you take a few steps. So you have that permission and the chance to course correct and to keep on following that, but just start moving in the direction of your joy. Start moving into whatever feels the most exciting, and the rest will just lay itself out. Again, just forget about the how and just enjoy the now, and stay in a state of wow and of trust. So you don't have to have it all figured out. This is also this thing that happened, like when, and again, this quote from Steve Jobs, we can only connect the dots looking backwards, not looking forwards. It's afterwards you can see, like, oh, I can see now how that all just lined up perfectly, and I couldn't have seen it from before it happened. Is a similar thing, is the trust and the stepping out into the unknown. So following my divorce in September, so now it's January when we're watching, so this is a few months later. That for me was like, okay, that whole life trajectory of like going to spend the rest of my life with this one man, that ain't happening anymore. Like, that's not going to happen. So I was like, okay, cool, completely clean slate. What do I want? What do I feel excited about? It's like, tuning in, like, okay, it's not logical. I'm not going to second guess it. I feel excited about going to Hawaii. I feel excited about going to Hawaii and hanging out with Tiger Singleton. I feel excited about going to Colorado, to Boulder, to hang out with Bentinho and the people there. Like, those two things really stood out to me. Like, I would love to do that. And those were two things that, had I still been together with my ex-husband, I probably wouldn't have done, because I was prioritizing our relationship and things in different ways. So this suddenly opened up space for doing those things. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to do that. So like within a day, I had booked both of those things. Some of it I had money for, some of it I didn't. I just trusted that it will all line up perfectly, because I know that, like, when I'm meant to do something and I trust that, then whatever needs to be arranged in terms of money or circumstances, that will line up. Like, I trust that completely, because I've been living in this state of kind of trusting that and creative solutions for such a long time now that I know it by now. I didn't always, but I know that now. So I was just like, okay, this feels the most exciting. I'm just going to trust that. No logic is necessary. I'm just going to trust that. And through following that, bam, like everything has happened. Like, things have exploded and accelerated so quickly. It's fucking dizzying. But it all came from that initial feeling of like, okay, complete, open, clean slate, possibilities. What feels exciting? And I didn't have the whole plan. I didn't know that that would lead me to, start doing collaborations with Tiger and interviews with Bentinho and expanding this and meeting these other people and other DJs and people that I'm going to collaborate with in the summertime. And like, there's so many things that have opened up through that, like, one decision of following the excitement of that. We don't know the plan. The plan will reveal itself as we begin to journey in that state of following our excitement. So let's see. Barbara says, how to discover the worth I am and to create the opportunity for a money stream. Okay, this is a great one. This will also be covered, like, there will be more layers added to this tomorrow. How to discover the worth that I am. Again, it's about alignment or perspective. So So just through the virtue of you existing, you are worthy. Just through you existing, just through you being here, that should be all the proof that you need that you are worthy of being here. And so in terms of the worth, I think also what you're asking a little bit is about how to discover the gift that you are, because all of us have a gift to give. And the gift that we give, again, will be discovered and unraveled and embodied as we keep on following the resonance and following the excitement. So a big part of discovering the gift that you have to give is, again, tuning into, what excites you, what lights you up. What, when you tune into that, it's like, oh my God, that would be a kick-ass time. Like, that would be something fun. That would be something that actually would inspire me to do. And that will also be very, very much related to whatever that is in terms of a money stream. If you want to get really detailed about this and like map out the business plan and stuff, then I would recommend having more like a one-on-one coaching session, because then we can get into the details. But just as a general thing, whatever excites you, once again, with the risk of sounding like a broken record, like just by following the excitement, and that is the guidance that you need to lead you into what you're supposed to be doing or what is your gift for the time being, and the continuous unraveling of that. And then it's a matter of just seeing like, okay, so where can we find the sweet spot between what excites you the most and what you enjoy doing the most, what you enjoy living? Where can that meet a need or a request that is being heard in the world? So for example, if you, super simple example, if you really enjoy chocolate and you love making chocolate, if you love making raw chocolate, for example. So personally, I love making raw chocolate. I do it a lot for the women's workshops and the workshops. I don't currently sell it at all because it doesn't really excite me to do so. And I have other things that excite me more in terms of money making. But if it excites you to make raw chocolate, then very simply, it's like, where can that line up with a need or request from people? Obviously, like almost everyone loves to eat chocolate. So you simply make raw chocolate and find a way to make that something really amazing. And in this also, like seeing how could you add an extra flavor, because you're saying like, oh, but there are so many people making chocolate already. Like surely that's a saturated market. And I would say, nah, because I don't really have any kind of limits to how much chocolate I want to eat or how much, it's like, it's a moment by moment desire thing. So if you would start showing up in my experience and you'd start offering amazing chocolate, I wouldn't say, oh, but there is chocolate over there already. Why are you giving me this? But I would be like, oh, there's chocolate. And then I would respond to that, right? However, there are ways that you can make it more creative, like even something that seems like a saturated market. For example, if I were to, which I may or may not ever do in this life, I have no idea. If I were to choose to go into the avenue of making raw chocolate for a living, then I would tune into like, okay, so there is a lot of raw chocolates being sold in Eco Plaza and in Whole Foods and in places all over the world. How could I make it even better? So maybe you could make the chocolate in really, really beautiful mandala shapes, or the shape of leaves, or little Ganeshas or Buddhas or unicorns or something like that. Could you maybe put it on the packaging and let everyone know, or say in little videos, that when you are making the chocolate, you are dancing as you're stirring it, or as you are having the blender turned on. You are either, maybe you're playing really amazing music, maybe you're playing really sensual music as you're doing it, or maybe you're chanting mantras as you're doing it, or maybe you are blessing, maybe you're sitting for like, whenever you have finished one batch of chocolate, you're sitting with your hands on the box or on that and just radiating your love and your good intentions into this, so that you can put on the ingredients also, that like there's universal blessings or unicorn glitter or whatever is in the chocolate, because these are the kind of things that especially like spiritual women love to know, like, oh, I'm having raw chocolate that is healthy and it's been blessed. Of course they're going to choose that one, like, oh, it's beautiful, it's in the shape of a leaf or a heart or a unicorn, and it's been blessed, and it's been stirred with love, and it has all these ingredients. Oh, and there's like a little extra message of surprise of love. I mean, Love Shock and Yogi Tea are already using this kind of message thing, but there's so many creative ways to just see how you can make things even more exciting. this is something that I'm going to create an upcoming training series about, also about how to live in paradise, turn your business into a party and make money changing the world. That's an upcoming, like, it's totally separate, like 4 or 6 or 8 part webinar training series that will come up. It will be available for the public. I will also make it more available for the Sensual Yoginis. I haven't quite figured out how to do that, but that will come up later. But like, there are so many ways to turn your business into a party. And when you turn your business into a party, suddenly it starts feeling like a joy rather than a should. And it and also just realizing that everything is vibrational. So the more you feel excited about what you do, the more you come into a state where you become immensely attractive. So just imagine this, for example. Say I was promoting the Sensual Yogini to you, or like I was sharing about the Sensual Yogini Online Academy, but I was kind of doing it from a place of like, oh, this is such a drag, and like, oh, I have to do this thing with women, and so annoying, and whatever. I can barely say it because it's like I don't tune in on that level. But it's really like, I love doing this, you know. Right now in this moment of having such a good time, I'm just enjoying this so much, and I'm feeling the tune-inness with you and just the resonance of that. So I'm having a party time right now. This is not a chore for me. If I would have resistance coming up, I would check in what lack beliefs there might be hiding. Again, an opportunity to get even more clear. I'll be checking in what, in my perspective here, is out of alignment with truth, and I'll go through that. But fundamentally, it's just like, I'm having such a good time hanging out with you ladies, and I love meeting you like this, both here and in the Facebook group, and also live. And if you're in Holland, I would love for you to come to the live weekend that is the end of January, which is when we're going to be learning energy breath orgasm, and we're gonna have luxurious massage experience and some other things. We are gonna be in a beautiful space in Amsterdam. So if you're watching this before the end of January 2016 and you want to join and you're in Holland, then come and join the Sensual Yogini weekend. So like, all of this is just coming into, you know, what do I most love to give, and how does that match up with something that people need? So my sense is, unless I've magically psychically tuned into you and you love making raw chocolate, my sense is that maybe you need some more specifics, Barbara, about how to turn this into a revenue stream, into a money stream. And so if you want the one-on-one coaching session, then just connect with me or book it or whatever. And that goes for everyone, because we can get into specifics there. But there are so many creative ways of just tuning into this. And again, it is when you follow the resonance and follow the excitement that you're in the vibratory frequency where you can receive the broadcast of that inspiration and those like genius ideas. And for me, pretty much every single thing that I make money with, it's not something that I have figured out, but it's ideas that have come to me when I'm shaking or dancing or making love or in the shower or something like that, or walking in nature. I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna do this. Thank you. And I didn't know it until I knew it in that moment. But it's by being in that state of resonance and excitement and vibratory alignment that those things just come to us. And that is different for everyone, how like the ways in that this inspiration has, but that is basically it. And learning about business and marketing and stuff, which we can get into in a different way. So I live like a 2-minute walk from the yoga studio, which is good. The yoga class starts in 15 minutes. So I want to wrap it up. My feeling is that there will be a lot more questions also. And there's also the pre-webinar survey that, let me see if I can just refresh this. Let's see. Just going to refresh the page and see. Yes, we have another 10 questions that came in through the pre-webinar survey. So I'm not even going to look at that right now. We're just going to go into more of the Q&A tomorrow, because again, we're going to cover more keys tomorrow. These, I think, 8 or something extra keys that I did not have time to really go so much into today. We'll cover that tomorrow, so that will also answer a lot of the questions, and we'll have more time for Q&A, I believe, tomorrow also. So this has been a kick-ass time for me. I've enjoyed this. this party vibe. So just thank you so much. I wish you a great evening. Tune into what feels the most exciting. One thing that I do have to say, that the more you just hang out in these kind of vibes, the more you tune yourself in this way, well, two things will happen. One is that you just feel great already, and then people will start to come into your life that reflects that. So just the fact that you're on this webinar shows that you're already in a state that is more or less vibrationally aligned where you want to go with your desire, that people start showing up into your life that can reflect this to you. And also, if you are feeling not so inspired, just immerse yourself in this is really great. So if you haven't watched the whole training, you can watch the replay now right after and go back, because the more you immerse yourself and the more you keep on hearing this message of everything is possible and infinite possibilities and infinite abundance and all of that, the more that starts seeping into your being in a way that you start just actually knowing it. So whenever you feel a bit lost, there's just an abundance of things on YouTube or in the Central Yogini or on the internet or whatever you feel moved to tune into, that you can just immerse yourself in. So that's the invitation, as well as asking yourself what would feel nourishing for me right now. So when we hang up, you can just tune into what would feel nourishing for me right now. And if you seemingly need to do something that you don't want to do, but you have to do it or whatever, just see how you can shift into a perspective that is more abundant, more in a state of gratitude, more in a state of joy, and allowing in that. Ayala says, thank you very much, Ronja. Enjoy the yoga and massage. Yes, thank you. Yeah, I booked a massage because I knew that like after a day of a lot of computer stuff, then it's really nice to have a massage. And also, I must say, like, massage is something that I see as an investment. Some people have this thing like, oh, it's too expensive, or I shouldn't, can I really give that to myself or whatever? But I also have, just if you want to look at it logically in terms of money, receiving massage is one of the times where I often get access to ideas and inspiration that I didn't have access to before, and those ideas and inspiration often end up making me a lot of money. So it's kind of like an investment in your own inspiration and stuff. And even if so, it's like, enjoy a massage while you're in a body, because once you die, you can have lots of experiences, but you can't have massage. So it's something to enjoy for as long as you're here. I have maybe a couple of more times before I go to San Francisco and Maui, if you want to come for a private session. But that's it for the mini promo. Enjoy your evening. Yeah. So Barbara is just asking if you can pre-submit questions. So yes, there was a there was like, when you signed up on the confirmation page, there was like a, oh no, I will send out the registration link for the webinar, and there will also be a survey, like the same one as for this one, and there you can submit questions. That's the best way to go. You can email me as well, but better is to just submit it in the survey. So I'll send out the registration link for that probably tonight and email it tomorrow morning, and you can pre-submit questions there also. So if you can't be there live, I'll still cover it. So much love to you. Just take a moment to let all of this sink into your body. Take a few deep breaths. And after this, if you're still sitting down, I recommend, just as I hang up on this, that you take some time to just stretch out your body, to do a little shake, a little dance or something like that. I'm going to go to yoga now, and I will see you tomorrow.